shelter of my darkest night. You just can't go back and make it right, 'cause it's too late. Your time is up. Damage done and now it's stuck. 'Cause it's too late. You roll the dice and now you have to pay the price. Yeah, I'm in a better place now. I'm not gonna worry, no, I'm not giving sorry. You're gonna be the lonely one. I'm in a better place now. I'm not gonna worry, no, I'm not giving sorry. You're gonna be the lonely one. Say it again, say it again. You're saying you feel bad, so say it again. Only you can do that. My heart was open wide. I could feel it breaking deep inside. 'Cause it's too late. Your time is up. Damage done and now we're stuck. 'Cause it's too late. You roll the dice and now you have to pay the price. Oh, I'm in a better place now. I'm not gonna worry, no, I'm not giving sorry. You're gonna be the lonely one. I'm in a better place now. I'm not gonna worry, no, I'm not even sorry. You're gonna be the lonely one. I'm in a better place now. I'm not gonna worry, no, I'm not giving sorry. You're gonna be the lonely one. I'm in a better place now. I'm not gonna worry, I'm not giving sorry. You're gonna be the lonely one.
There's nothing that I can say or do, and it seems that words won't change a lot. How can I make it through to you when these silly little words are all that I've got? We can try to just pretend I could hold you once again, 'cause I'm scared of feeling lost tonight. When I wake up, it's you that I think of. It's true, it's so obvious, but I'm holding back because you don't want me like I want you. You don't feel me like I feel you. Oh no. And I must confess that you don't touch me like I touch you. Never blush, baby, when I kiss you, but you don't. And I must confess that I wish I'd find someone new and forget about you. 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 There's only so much that we can save, like a storyline and a few cliches. When we break up, it's true that I'm making up, it's through. I don't wanna pass the buck, but we're in this place because you don't want me like I want you. You don't feel me like
Welcome, everybody. It is Monday, May 17th, 2021. We have a jam-packed show for you today. We are talking about everything from City Council approving the $10 million settlement for Andre Hill's family, all the way to the Final Four selection of who the candidates are that could be the Columbus Police Chief. And let's just say the mayor has pimped out Perry Tyrant again. We're going to have all that and much, much more to come right here on the and Unbossed show. Let's roll.
Now listen here on the Unbought and Unbossed show with Devontae Goins. He's here to skip past all the drama by reporting on news stories that are relevant to Black America without all the hyped up false context that drives ratings. Our news deserves special attention, and Devontae intends on giving it that attention right here on this show. Right now, this is the Unbought and Unbossed show with Devontae Goins.
Just said, y'all can research our stories. Y'all can research our stories. Y'all can look up what happened to our sons, what happened to our daughters, what happened to our loved ones. I'm gonna let y'all do that. I'm just in a space right now where I'm ready for action. I am ready for change, and I'm not accepting anything less than that. I'm not accepting it. I'm just not accepting it. We have a family who settled with the city yesterday, and I am thankful that they got that opportunity. My challenge becomes hearing people give the mayor kudos and city council kudos for what they did yesterday because it was the right thing to do. Let me remind everybody, especially those of you that live here in Columbus, these same individuals were sitting in those seats when my son was killed. These same individuals were sitting in the seats when Deontay Bell was killed. These individuals were sitting in those seats when Jerron Thomas was killed, when Tyree King was killed. The list goes on and on. And these individuals were sitting in those seats. I don't have a problem with giving honor where honor is due. But when you playing games and you playing on people's emotions, I will continuously stand up here and remind us to not fall for it. We're not falling for it any longer. I don't care what you say. I need to see what you do. And when you're not doing your job, it is up to us. It is up to us to replace those individuals. I hear stories about we don't have enough money to go up against the big machine. We don't have money to go up against this candidate and that candidate. Well, let me tell you something. I guarantee you Ron O'Brien was really confident in the money that he had when he ran for prosecutor this last time. Who showed up and pushed the button, and who changed the office? Who changed the seat of that office? Who is the prosecutor for Columbus, Ohio, and Franklin County now? His name is Gary Tyatt. And he was concerned about not having enough money. I said, what money do you need if you got the people? Show up for the people and we'll show up for you. That seat changed, didn't it? That seat changed, didn't it? This machine that we have here in Columbus is ugly, y'all. And I wouldn't have known that had I not.
And that was our Let Me Begin segment with Adrian Hood, the mother of Henry Green, speaking before a crowded amphitheater on this past Saturday at the Ohio Families Unite Against Police Brutality action. Families from all around the state were here in Columbus on Saturday, and multiple families did speak, and we will be bringing you each day for the remainder of the weeks to come a different story from a different family from their remarks from that day. We're going to try, and Adrian had about 3 more minutes in her talk for difficulties the control room right now, and is working on figuring out what's going on. So we are going to play the remaining of her remarks towards the end of today's show. But let's get right into today's show, because it has been a whirlwind of a news weekend, not just a news day, but a news weekend ever since late. I'm sorry, not late, but mid afternoon on Friday, when the city announced that they were settling with Andre Hill's family. Attorney Ben Crump came into town to celebrate a moment that he should not have to celebrate. He came into town to celebrate and do a press conference with the family of Andre Hill and Andre's siblings, and his daughter, Carissa, as well as his grandchildren, were in attendance at this press conference. And during this press conference, they said the same thing and echoed the same sentiments, that the settlement, while it may be a historic one in the city's history, we should not be here today. That money will not buy back another moment with Andre, another hug from Andre. That money will not bring him back. That money will barely do anything for them, because Andre isn't here with them, or as Carissa calls him, her Faja. So, the city council, they just literally just hours ago this evening approved the settlement, and I want to play some sound from that city council meeting tonight, so you can hear exactly what went on in council and was it unanimously approved. Take that off the screen, guys, or not. So here's that city council meeting.
1260.7-2021 to authorize and direct the city attorney to settle any and all claims arising out of the incident, to authorize a transfer of $10 million within the general fund, to authorize the expenditure of the sum of $10 million in the settlement of any and all present and future claims arising out of the incident, and to declare an emergency. First, I would like to ask Attorney Bill Sperlazza with the City Attorney's Office to provide us with the background on this ordinance. Mr. Sperlazza?
The City Attorney's Office as part of the team that negotiated the settlement with the Hill family. The settlement was based on a series of conversations and negotiations that lasted a few weeks. At the end, the agreement and the financial compensation was just that, an agreement between the Hill family and their representation and the city of Columbus. It's based on the facts at hand, the law, and what is in the best interest of the family, the community, and the city.
The moment that we're looking at today was something that that's meant a lot to the city, and talking to the family and not trying to how do you negotiate when someone's life has been taken away? And it was certainly not, from my understanding, I think this is important, is that the family and their attorney was very much involved in these deliberations to get to this place today. So I want to thank the city attorney's office of family and their legal team. Thank you.
Tonight is a small step towards justice for the family of Andre Hill. Although it doesn't bring him back to his family, I do pray that it offers some solace during this extremely difficult time. Andre Hill's tragic death is a reminder of the challenges we continue to confront in our city. Our community has been plagued by multiple incidents of excessive use of force and violence from police that has resulted in the loss of life. Our residents continue to mourn these tragic losses, especially our Black and Brown residents. I want our community to know that this council has stepped up to the critical task of reform before us through our reimagining public safety work.
Take this opportunity to say that no amount of money can make this right. Nothing can replace the loss of this father, brother, and friend.
My name is Julius Bailey, and I seek to become your next city commissioner here in Springfield, Ohio. A vote for me is a vote for clear-mindedness, sharp and detailed analysis, and a care for people. I'm not a typical politician. I'm an administrator, a teacher, a servant. I don't promise what I cannot deliver, and I don't scratch where I don't itch. I'm a builder, an observer of talent, an organizer of people and ideas. I listen first. I act cautiously with a swift desire to meet the practical needs of people. I'm not going to politicize what wearing a mask in public to avoid the spread of coronavirus, or if that is such a restriction of free speech. I simply care for myself and others. I'm not going to be afraid to say that Black lives do matter, while also fully supporting those law enforcement officials who are committed to safety, respect, and honor to the badge. My pro-choice stance, it does not make me pro-abortion, and my advocacy for same-gendered loving couples earning access to all of civil rights, it don't make me non-Christian. Springfield, we have real problems. We must broaden our business and job-creating base. We must support colleges like Clark State and Wittenberg, who seek to hone the talent, minds, bodies of our citizens to move us all toward greatness. You know, I want you to see what a political office ought to be. Springfield, Ohio. Let's build together.
If you're tired of mainstream media outlets selecting news stories and events that don't appeal to Black America, then become a member of the UnBossed Network today, where we are the voice of Black America and providing coverage of events and news stories that you won't hear anywhere else. Visit theunbossednetwork.com to become a member today.
So, welcome back to the show, everybody. I was actually just told by my producers that I had no sound on the whole time because they didn't turn on the microphone, and I had literally unplugged my headphones so I couldn't hear them talking to me. But I seen them waving back there behind the camera, and well, I got to do that story over. So we'll go back and finish the story about Andre Hill and City Council approving their what they deem historic settlement, but it's not a historic settlement, and it ain't fair that the family will never get to spend another day, get another hug from Andre, get to hear his big loving baritone voice or anything like that. So we'll circle back to that after this story right here. So it's no surprise that y'all's boy Mayor Andy Ginther is up to his old tricks yet again. He has decided that he was going to pimp out Perry Tyrant yet once again. And yes, I did say he pimped out Perry Tarrant, who was a finalist. Not once, but twice. He pimped him out. And the community has said overwhelmingly, especially Black Columbus, that Perry was the best person for the job. And while he's pimped out Perry yet again, he's pushing to the forefront of this race, because I guess it's a race now, because it wasn't a public, open, and transparent and honest process for selecting who our police chief is going to be. He's pushing to the front Derek Diggs, who's from Fort Myers, who is a corrupt chief. He's as corrupt as they come. Now, one may say, well, Devontae, I've done my research, and my research tells me that they dismiss those allegations because he paid all the money back. Well, if he did it once, he'll do it again. Some may say, well, Devontae, he didn't give us Perry Tarrant, but he's giving us 3 black candidates, including a black female officer. I'm sorry, not officer, because she's not an officer. She is a deputy chief in Detroit, and I want to make sure I get her title right and what she's worked so hard for. He's even placed a black female chief on the short list, Elaine Bryant, out of Detroit, Michigan. Well, some may make the argument that Derek Diggs isn't the front runner, but Elaine Bryant is, because the Detroit Police Department just announced who their police chief was in their search for a new chief. And guess what? It wasn't Elaine Bryant, but the mayor did let it drop, and he did let it be known today that he's been on the phone about Elaine with a prominent Midwestern city mayor. And we all know who he was talking about, Andy Ginther. So could he really choose a black female to be the next police chief? Let's face it, no. Who's he more than likely to go with? Well, he could go with Derek Diggs, because Andy does a lot of corrupt stuff and shady shit in the dark, and Derek is familiar with that process, and he's also familiar with how corruption works within police departments and how to get away with it. Some may say that he's going to choose Yvonne Roman, who's given a TED Talk, who is the former Newark, New Jersey police chief and the co-founder of the 30 by 30 initiative to boost women in policing by 30% by 2030. You can say all those things, but you would need to know, and you would be interested in knowing, who the person is in the front runner, and I can't tell you that. But what I can tell you is this is what one of the candidates thinks about defunding the police. And I want you to be aware that this person is going to say that the police shouldn't be defunded, but they explain how to defund the police and where money should be allocated. Watch this.
And on defunding police, there has been a lot of talk about reallocating funds from police to other social services. And do you think that would prevent departments from hiring more women?
So I work for the Center for Policing Equity, and we believe in making police departments more efficient. So we have to be careful when we're talking about defunding police, because there are cities with true violence problems, and we don't want to leave those communities more vulnerable than they already are. But there are ways to reallocate what police departments are doing. For instance, I don't believe that police officers should be responding to mental health situations. There are people more qualified than that. Or you can team up mental health experts with a law enforcement officer. We also had officers responding to individuals violating the masks requirement during the pandemic. That could be handled by the public health department. Instead of looking at it as a punitive measure, you could use it as a way to educate the public. You can hand out masks. You can hand out information on why masks prevent transmissions. Because law enforcement is a 24/7 operation, too often we look at them as a Band-Aid to fill any need that society may have when they're not the best suited social service representatives to handle those calls.
And while I do agree with what she said about not having officers respond to mental health calls, she just explained all in the same sentence of why we shouldn't defund the police, why we should. So is she the best candidate for the job? Former Newark, New Jersey police chief Ivana Roman? Or is she just on the short list because she's given a big TED Talk? Avery Moore, who's the assistant police chief for the Dallas Police Department, is also on the short list tonight, and people are speaking out about him as well. So, what can we do to stop this and to make our voices be heard? Well, on Boss Nation, I'm going to tell you the same thing I told NBC4 today when they came into the studio and sat down and asked, what did I think Black Columbus would say to this? Well, I'll tell you that number one, Perry Tarrant got pimped out yet again. Will reform ever come to the Columbus Police Department? No, it won't. And with picking any one of these people, they can't bring about reform. The only way we can really get true reform right now, the only way we can truly get reform right now is if the Department of Justice comes in and investigates the Columbus Division of Police. Notice I didn't say what Mayor Andy says or City Attorney Zach Klein says to review the Division of Police. We don't need another damn review. We don't need another study done. We need them to come in and investigate CPD and to bring forth and to bring down a dissent decree, because at this point, that is the only way change is going to be brought about and real reform is going to happen in the Columbus Police Department. Now, out of all of these candidates, which one do I think should be the best person for the job? Well, the best person for the job, the one with the resume tailor-made for the job, he won't get it because he's too interconnected and intertwined with the DOJ, and he would follow the DOJ's rules. He did the same thing when he was caught into Ferguson, Missouri, right after Michael Brown was taken from us here in Black America. And he turned that police department around. He's turned others around as well. But they won't give him the job because he's too close with the DOJ, so they say. So that's why they pimped him out twice. Not once, but twice. And Andy Ginther is always saying, I have the community's best at heart. I'm doing everything the community wants me to do and things like that. Stop that fucking lying, because you aren't. We told you who we wanted, and yet you still pimped him out again. And when I say you pimped him out again, Mayor Ginther, you allowed him to give you guys a blowjob. Yes, I am saying this out of my mouth. You allowed him to give you guys a blowjob and not give him one back in return. You pimped him out for nothing and rolled him out and led him on a limb, all for you not to give him the job, and you knew you wasn't going to give him the job in the first place. I'm just saying what's on everybody's mind, because everybody knows it's true. You made him put in his application again after you already had it the first time when he was a finalist. And when he was a finalist the first time up against now Deputy Chief Thomas Quinlan, they both stood at East High School, and he brought the audience to a clarion hand clap and applause in celebration of him, because he was speaking the language that we needed to reform and needed change, and he was going to bring it about. When he stood up and he said to an auditorium filled of hundreds of people in East High School that how can you begin to police a community without first healing that community. He said that before Andre was taken from us, Casey was taken from us, Miles was taken from us, and now our little princess Micaiah, all at the hands of police. He said that prior to all of that happening, and yet he didn't get the job then, and he's not getting a job now. But now let's take this a step further, because this isn't an open and transparent and fair process. Who's on the committee? What community members can you point to, Mr. Mayor, since that's what you want to be called, that you have on the community advising you on who's the best candidate for the job? I'll wait. I'm waiting, and yet you still can't tell me, because it wasn't an open and fair and transparent process like the last one was somewhat. You can't tell me. Let's talk. I tried to reach out to Perry Tyrant's office today, and I was unsuccessful in getting in touch with him. We are going to keep following up with him. We did leave a message, and we're hoping to get Perry on the show to talk about this and why the mayor let him on the limb, not once but twice, and didn't give him a job. So there is supposed to be a town hall meeting on this coming Wednesday. And that town hall meeting is supposed to be open and transparent for us to ask all of our questions. But you were supposed to submit your questions today by 5 o'clock. And if you didn't submit your questions today by 5 o'clock, oh, well, they wouldn't get asked. But 99.9% chance that your question, my questions, weren't going to get asked anyways, because we would have asked real questions, the questions that the mayor doesn't want them being asked, the questions that he doesn't want to be heard, but yet he says he's for us. I'm going to tell you, just like I told the NBC4 reporter today when we were speaking for their story that's going to air here in a few minutes on their air. Whoever the new police chief is, whether it's Elaine Bryant, whether it's Avery Moore, whether it's Yvonne Roman or Derek Dix, whoever it is, Black Columbus has already gotten together and locked arms and standing shoulder to shoulder and toe to toe. And we have called on and sent and signed a letter and sent it to Attorney General Merrick Garland and to the Department of Justice, saying that we want the DOJ Civil Rights Division to come in and to investigate the Columbus Division of Police. We've already done that, and we're going to keep calling on them and getting louder and louder and louder until they hear our war and hear our cry and hear our voices, and they come in and investigate the Columbus Division of Police, and they bring forth and bring down a dissent decree so we can see some real reform and real change down there on Mount Carney Boulevard. Now, I'll add this. What I've also told that reporter today is that the mayor won't be reelected, because he may not be up for election this year in 2021, but is up for re-election in 2023. And Mayor Andy Ginther, we are coming for that ass. You will not be re-elected to the position of mayor. You can bet money on that. And I'll tell you what, another thing, you will not run unopposed in an election for mayor again. I guarantee you that as well, because we coming for that ass. And if you keep fucking around with Black Columbus, we going to circulate a petition yet again to recall your happy ass from your position as mayor that we put you in. Black folks put you in that position. And so you may have a lot of people fooled by thinking you're Mr. Tough Guy because you're the only mayor that's been willing to take on the FOP and to try and begin renegotiating the FOP contract. Baby, there's a dime a dozen of folks who are willing to take on the FOP from where you come from, and we don't have to settle for you. Now, Black media is also coming for your ass too, because you aren't going to continue to shut Black media out from reporting the truth and bringing the real news. We coming for that ass too. So you can count on that and bet money. And we aren't going to stop until justice is brought about, because baby, I'm not in this fight by myself. I'm in this fight standing shoulder to shoulder, toe to toe, limb to limb, elbow to elbow with millions, thousands, tens of thousands of giants here in this city that are ready for a change. And we will stop at nothing until we get that change. We are willing to fight the power because we are tired of all the bullshit and the corruptness going on down there in City Hall. And we are ready for a change, and we are going to be that change we're ready for, and we are going to bring it about. So I'm putting you on notice, as I have before, that we are coming for that ass. So Robin, if you don't like that, take note. I said it again on Monday, May 17th, 2021, just like I said it on Monday, February 1st, 2021, right before Andre's law was placed into law, that we are coming for the mayor's ass. And if you need any help on knowing what that means, is we will stop at nothing and holding him accountable. Because at the end of the day, he works for us. We are his employer. We hired him for the job of mayor, whether we wanted to or like the fact that we hired him or not. He's in that office because of people like me who placed him in that office. Now, how do you like those honey bunches of apples and oats? How you like that? When we come back, we'll talk about where do we go from here, and this whole context of the police chief search and the Final Four and Perry Tarrant being pimped out yet again. We're back right after this.
I am so thankful for StreamYard.
I love StreamYard.
I'm thankful for StreamYard.
I love StreamYard.
I am super thankful for StreamYard.
If you're tired of mainstream media outlets selecting news stories and events that don't appeal to Black America, then become a member of the UnBossed Network today, where we are the voice of Black America and providing coverage of events and news stories that you won't hear anywhere else. Visit theunbossednetwork.com to become a member today.
So the question before us right now is, where do we go from here? That's a very, very important question. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here if city council leaders and the mayor won't listen to us? Well, where we go from here is we take the Constitution, and this, which in our case is not just the United States Constitution, but the City of Columbus Charter, and we work it in our favor. And we begin to get together and circulate petitions to have them recall, not just circulate petitions, but we begin to register people to vote. That is so fundamentally important that we cannot begin to change the corrupt culture if we do not vote. We need to begin holding voter registration drives to make sure everybody is registered who is eligible to vote. And the reason why you need to make sure you're registered to vote, and that once you're registered to vote, that you show up and vote, is because people died for your black ass. Yes, and your white ass too. People died for all of y'all's asses to be able to vote. My ancestors, I can't tell you how many of them died during the civil rights movement, died on Bloody Sunday alone, and got hurt and beat and spit on, and dogs let out on them, had to spend the night in jail, all sorts of things, knocked down, abused, mistreated, just to make sure we have the right to vote. And yet we still take that right for granted. After they fought with their blood, sweat, and tears for our black asses, and for y'all's white asses too, to have the right to vote. So you need to make sure you're registered. We'll be hosting this summer a few different voter registration drives to make sure people are registered to vote in this upcoming election, because this election is not the election to sit home and cry. This is the election to get your ass out and vote. This is not the election to fuck around with. You say you want change? Well, this year, 3 city council members are up for election. Really, one is up for re-election, and his name is Shannon Harton, because the city council member, Priscilla Tyson and Mitch Brown, have said they are retiring, and put in their place on the ballot with Shannon Harton is Lourdes Padilla, Dee Padilla, and Nick Bankston. And some of you may say you've never heard of Lourdes or Nick Bankston, but they were brought up through the proper channels of the city, and that's how they got the nod to be on the ticket with Shannon Harton. So if you don't want the same old anymore, you need to make sure your ass is registered to vote. And on November the 2nd, I believe it is, that your ass is up early at the polls to vote. You get 3 votes when it comes to the people you want to be on city council this year. And I could tell you right now, one of the people who is running for city council is a lady by the name of Sheila Eubanks, who is really for the people who are like me and you. And she is running for city council as a write-in candidate because they deemed her signatures on her petitions that she turned in, well over 300, ineligible. But what they won't tell you is that the state of Ohio, did a purge off the voter registration logs earlier in the year, prior to that February deadline of petitions to be on the ballot to be submitted. They just didn't do it to her. They did it to several others too. They did it to Nick Bankston as well, but Nick Bankston already had the hookup in, so he got his name on the ballot. Yeah, that's how that goes. And I would be remiss. I know how a lot of you feel about him, but Tom Suzy is also on the ballot as well. So you get 3 votes. There's 5 people running. You say you want change, but do you really? Well, we'll see about that. When we come back, we are talking about the settlement that Andre Hill's family will receive in the coming weeks. That was passed unanimously by City Hall today.
Welcome to Cardwell Mobile Notary Service. I'm Leandra Cardwell. I run a full-service mobile notary company. We specialize in apostille, loan closings, structured settlements, and more. Wherever you are, I'll be there. Even in your home, I'll be there. At the hospital, I'll be there. Nursing homes, I'll be there. At the library, I'll be there. Coffee shops, you pick, and I'll be there. And yes, even remotely too, I'll be there. Just submit a request on our website. Don't forget to locate us on Facebook. And give us a call at 614-999-0149, and I'll be there.
If you're tired of mainstream media outlets selecting news stories and events that don't appeal to Black America, then become a member of the UnBossed Network today, where we are the voice of Black America and providing coverage of events and news stories that you won't hear anywhere else. Visit theunbossednetwork.com to become a member today.
Welcome back to the show. So we are doubling back right now to cover a story that we covered at the top of the show, but we went to air the clip, and apparently I didn't turn back on my mic, and I unplugged the monitors from the control room, and they were trying to tell me that my mic wasn't on, so you guys didn't get to hear anything we said at the top of the show in regards to the settlement that Andre Hill's family is receiving. So we're going to recover that story right now so you all can hear what we had to say about that. So on late Friday afternoon, we all learned that Andre Hill's family would be receiving what the city deemed a historic settlement of $10 million that would be paid out because they, meaning the Columbus Police Department, lynched brother Andre on camera, and they had failed to render aid to him. Not only did they take brother Andre from us, but it's the fact that they let him sit there in agony and pain on his last few moments here on this earth and didn't render aid to him at all for several minutes. And that was caught on camera. I get emotional when I talk about it because Andre could have, as easily as it was him, it could have been me, it could have been my brother, it could have been my father, it could have been my uncles, it could have been anybody. And all he was doing was visiting a family friend. Another example of being Black in the city of Columbus. And being Black is a crime. But I want to play this soundbite because earlier today, during the 5 o'clock weekly council meeting, City Council did unanimously approve the city ordinance. And I want you to hear what some of the council members and some of the representatives from the city had to say about approving this.
Ordinance 1260.7-2021 to authorize and direct the city attorney to settle any and all claims arising out of the incident, to authorize a transfer of $10 million within the general fund, to authorize the expenditure of the sum of $10 million in the settlement of any and all present and future claims arising out of the incident, and to declare an emergency. First, I would like to ask Attorney Bill Sperlaza with the City Attorney's Office to provide us with the background on this ordinance. Mr. Sperlaza?
The City Attorney's Office as part of the team that negotiated the settlement with the Hill family. The settlement was based on a series of conversations and negotiations that lasted a few weeks. At the end, the agreement and the financial compensation was just that, an agreement between the Hill family and their representation and the city of Columbus. It's based on the facts at hand, the law, and what is in the best interest of the family, the community, and the city.
The moment that we're looking at today was something that that's meant a lot to the city, and talking to the family and not trying to how do you negotiate when someone's life has been taken away? And it was certainly not, from my understanding, I think this is important, is that the family and their attorney was very much involved in these deliberations to get to this place today. So I want to thank the City Attorney's Office of Family and their legal team. Thank you.
Tonight is a small step towards justice for the family of Andre Hill. Although it doesn't bring him back to his family, I do pray that it offers some solace during this extremely difficult time. Andre Hill's tragic death is a reminder of the challenges we continue to confront in our city. Our community has been plagued by multiple incidents of excessive use of force and violence from police that has resulted in the loss of life. Our residents continue to mourn these tragic losses, especially our Black and Brown residents. I want our community to know that this council has stepped up to the critical task of reform before us through our reimagining public safety work.
Take this opportunity to say that no amount of money can make this right. Nothing can replace the loss of this father, brother, and friend. No settlement can replace his smile, his touch, or the holidays spent with his loved ones. Mr. Hill's death has left a hole in the lives of a lot of people in the city of Columbus and throughout this United States. To the Hill family, I personally want to extend my sincerest condolences for your loss.
To apologize to the family of Mr. Andre Hill and to the residents of the city of Columbus. Mr. Andre Hill should still be here with us. We can and we will do better. Thank you.
Tonight's ordinance represents the largest settlement in our city's history. We cannot afford to continue in this manner, and I hope that this is the last time we will see something like this come before us. To the family of Andre Hill, I once again am deeply sorry for your loss and continue to offer my deepest condolences. With that, I would move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, Tyson, President Pro Tem Brown.
Passed.
Thank you. That is all I have in my hand.
And that right there was some remarks and the vote to pass the city ordinance that is a settlement for the Andre Hill's family to receive $10 million. It's not too often that I'm at a loss for words, but this is one of those stories and one of those times I'm at a loss for words for. What I can say is that this money, this amount, may be the largest in the city of Columbus history to ever be given to a family for CPD taking their loved one from them. But that 10 million won't bring Andre back. That 10 million won't allow him to spend time in his community that he loved so dearly. That 10 million won't give the family another Thanksgiving with Andre. And I heard he could throw down in the kitchen. That 10 million won't give the family another birthday with Andre. We're coming up on the first birthday that Andre won't be with the family, and the community is planning to come together with the family and the Brittenell area on this coming Saturday. It ain't fair, quite frankly. It is not fair that any of this is going on. It's not, but I'm happy that the family gets something, and the family also, I think, what meant more to them than the money is that the community in which Andre loved so dearly and had a special place in his heart, the Brittenell community, Brittenell Recreation Center, their gymnasium is being renamed the Andre Hill gymnasium. So, in the words of Carissa, her children, Andre's grandchildren, can see that Andre's impact on the world outweighed his legacy. His life may have ended the wrong way and ended too short, but Andre's impact outweighed his legacy. We're back right after this.
Sometimes your life won't turn out how you planned it. It turns out how you work for it. How you wake up and you chase that dream every single morning. It's what you give your time and your energy to that takes you to the next level. And that's royalty. You see, many of us believe that just because our father was a drug dealer and our uncle was a drug dealer, that is our life and that is our forever. But I want you to know something. That is only a lesson to show us to be something more. It's a mentality. Roses can grow in the projects if you take care of the soil. It don't matter how big the house is, baby. It's the love inside of it. Take care of your community.
If you're tired of mainstream media outlets selecting news stories and events that don't appeal to Black America, then become a member of the UnBossed Network today, where we are the voice of Black America and providing coverage of events and news stories that you won't hear anywhere else. Visit theunbossednetwork.com to become a member today.
All right, before I let y'all go today, I have a couple things I want to talk about. Number one, control room, do me a favor. I'm about to throw them for a limb. Drop the graphics for a moment. You all, I hope you all can see my shirt. I'm going to lower the mic right here. Columbus Stand Up. That's Morgan Harper's organization. Columbus Stand Up. I had a ball and a great time spending time with all of the people who supported Morgan and the Columbus Stand Up organization throughout this past year. I got to meet the team as well on Saturday out at Franklin Park and got to partake in a little bit of lunch. You guys can put back up the graphics. And so I want to say thank you for the t-shirt, Morgan. And I will continue to wear it, and I will continue to lock arms and fight hand in hand with you because we are fighting the same battle. And Morgan, you are not in this alone. But thank you, Morgan, for the invite to come out and participate in that event. Also, I wanted to play for you. We'll have to get that ready for you on tomorrow's show. Outside, when I said we all need to fight the power in whatever way we can fight it, well, be quick. Put together a little protest. It wasn't so little. It garnered about 40 to 50 people outside in the northeast Linden area, right outside of the school board president's house to protest the fact that they didn't want CPD going back into the schools. I'll have some remarks that were made there. And let's just say, school board president ended up leaving, but before she left, she took time to speak with them. We're going to have that for you tomorrow on the show. Also, this past weekend, we are going to finish playing the clip of Adrian Hood that we started in our Let Me Begin With This segment. Adrian Hood and a bunch of other families who are part of an involuntary club that no family should be a part of. The Ohio Families United Against Police Brutality organization came together to host an event out in Franklin Park as well in the atrium. I'm sorry, not the atrium, but the the I'm gonna call it an arena because the hour's late and I can't think of the name of the thing now. But they came together out there and they put on a phenomenal event with a few hundred people who came out to listen to these families share their stories. We even partook in some good food. And throughout the next several shows, we are going to show and air the family stories from this particular event. And that's we are going to air it in its entirety and a future date to come that myself and the team is trying to decide on, because these stories need to be out there. And I'm just so glad that the families had enough strength to come and share the story of how they lost their loved one to the hands of police and what they are now doing about it to fight for justice, and what we can do to help them in their fight for justice as well. And that event was the kickoff to them hosting other events around the state of Ohio and around the country as well, leading up to their bigger event on August the 28th, I believe, in Washington, D.C. And for all of you that don't know why August the 28th is so important, that is the anniversary of the day that Dr. King gave his infamous speech, I Have a Dream. But we are going to play the rest of this clip from Adrian Hood. I suggest you take a seat. And if you're driving, you pull over and listen, because she is about to bring the fire. You thought I brought the fire tonight. No, she's about to bring the real fire to speak truth to power. And when we come back from this, my control room is telling me right now that Channel 4 just aired the story that they came and spoke with me about the finalists for the police chief. So I want to air it live right here for you and watch it with you live for the first time, because I haven't got to see it because I've been on air right here doing my own show, bringing the news to you. I'm not waiting on them to report the news. Our team is reporting it with or without them, so we'll get to watch it here live. But first, here's Adrian Hood, the mother of Henry Green.
You just said, y'all can research our stories. Y'all can research our stories. Y'all can look up what happened to our sons, what happened to our daughters, what happened to our loved ones. I'm gonna let y'all do that. I'm just in a space right now where I'm ready for action. I am ready for change. And I'm not accepting anything less than that. I'm not accepting it. I'm just not accepting it. We have a family who settled with the city yesterday. And I am thankful that they got that opportunity. My challenge becomes hearing people give the mayor kudos and city council kudos for what they did yesterday, because it was the right thing to do. Let me remind everybody, especially those of you that live here in Columbus, these same individuals were sitting in those seats when my son was killed. These same individuals were sitting in the seats when Deontay Bell was killed. These individuals were sitting in those seats when Jerron Thomas was killed, when Tyree King was killed. The list goes on and on. And these individuals were sitting in those seats. I don't have a problem with giving honor where honor is due. But when you playing games and you playing on people's emotions, I will continuously stand up here and remind us to not fall for it. We're not falling for it any longer. I don't care what you say. I need to see what you do. And when you're not doing your job, it is up to us. It is up to us to replace those individuals. I hear stories about we don't have enough money to go up against the big machine. We don't have money to go up against this candidate and that candidate. Well, let me tell you something. I guarantee you Ron O'Brien was really confident in the money that he had when he ran for prosecutor this last time. Who showed up and pushed the button, and who changed the office? Who changed the seat of that office? Who is the prosecutor for Columbus, Ohio, and Franklin County now? His name is Gary Tyatt, and he was concerned about not having enough money. I said, what money do you need if you got the people? Show up for the people and we'll show up for you. That seat changed, didn't it? That seat changed, didn't it? This machine that we have here in Columbus is ugly, y'all. And I wouldn't have known that had I not lost my son. Because I thought Columbus was the safest, biggest city too. Until my son was walking. He wasn't driving. He wasn't on no high-speed chase. None of that. He was walking. Minding his own business. And like my sister said, most of these officers have a history of excessive force before they kill an individual. The officer that killed Tyree King, that was his 4th shooting, his 2nd fatal, and he got a promotion too. Zachary Rosen, yes he is, sitting in the position as a detective. Yes he is. But it is up to us to demand the changes that we want to see in our city. We have a town hall that is going to be on this Wednesday from 6 to 7:30. From 6 to 7:30, get your phones out, put it in your calendar, because I expect for everybody out here, especially if you got a stake in this city right here, I expect everybody out here to be on that town hall meeting, because they are going to be talking about the next chief of Columbus Police Department. And I'm telling you what, we have to do our research to find out who these individuals are. Because the one that should have got the job the last time didn't get the job. The mayor promised us. He claimed he wanted a change agent. That came out of his mouth, not mine. That's what he said. And then he appointed Tom Quinlan, who been on the police force for 30 years, has benefited from the racial structure being just as it is. What kind of change agent is that? So while we listening to what they say, we have to be listening to what they don't say. We have to pay attention to what they don't do. And we have to hold them accountable for those things. Because otherwise, we are just a participant in the problem. We are a participant in the problem. So when we have that town hall, I look to see their Facebook Live, their YouTube. I look to see it blowing up with comments, questions, letting them know that we are watching. We can't take, Miss Deborah, where you at? You got your shirt on today? We take naps. She don't have it on today. We take naps, but we stay woke. And that's where we need to be now. That's where we have to stay at. From this day forward is where we have to stay. It is an accountability that needs to be had in this city, and we are the ones that are going to make that happen. Don't sleep on this city, y'all. What we see, what we envision, what we want for our city, it is in our hands. We have the power to do that. And we have to change those seats if they're not willing to do their job. It's really not that complicated. And I don't care about the money. The power will always be with the people. The power is always with the people. Understand that the power is always going to be with us. We have to be willing to show up. As my brother said, here is my ass till the day I die. These cases should be reopened. These police departments across this country, DOJ need to go ahead and just start hiring people to be in that office, because they need to go across this country into these police departments and do investigations, not reviews, Mayor Ginther. We don't need nobody looking at what they got going on. We need somebody to come in and investigate the crookedness, the evilness that they have been doing for all of this time. That's what we need to have come in here. Don't sleep on them. Pay attention to what they're doing. And when they do something that we don't want them to do, there's an accountability that needs to be had. We want the cases reopened. We want killer cops to go to jail. They need to be there. God bless y'all.
All right. And that was Mama Adrian Hood, as I call her. As y'all can tell, she's a preacher, but she preached the truth that day. And she always preaches the truth, whether it's the gospel or whether it's what I call the street gospel, the gospel of political truth and social truth. She brought the fire. You heard her say, we take naps, but we still woke. We stay woke. Hell, she's a tough act to follow, and I don't know why I even thought I could, but she also reminded everybody on Saturday, as I'm reminding you now, and that we covered earlier tonight about the town hall. I want to air for you all for the first time. I want to watch it with you. Earlier today, I told you NBC4, they came to the studio to do an interview with us about what we thought about the finalists, and they have just aired that during their 11 o'clock broadcast, and I would like to play that live on air right now.
And co-founder of an initiative that works to increase female representation in law enforcement. Elaine Bryant is deputy chief in Detroit. Now, that department named an interim chief today. That position went to someone else who already served in that capacity earlier during the pandemic. And Avery Moore is assistant chief in Dallas. Well, now community leaders are weighing in on what's important to them when it comes to a new police chief.
And this as the final 4 candidates are set to be part of a virtual town hall on Wednesday. They'll be answering questions from community members. NBC4's Karina Chung joining us live now. And Karina, what are these members saying about candidates? What are you hearing?
Well, I caught up with Devontae Goins with the Black Liberation Movement of Central Ohio and Denzel Porteous with Stonewall Columbus. Now, both of them have different feelings moving forward.
From 9 candidates whittled down to 4. Devontae Goins, the vice president of BLM Central Ohio, isn't thrilled with the finalists for police chief.
Clearly, we've been failed time and time again, and the only thing that we as a community can now do is vote out our elected officials because they aren't clearly getting the message.
Denzel Porteous with Stonewall Columbus is feeling hopeful for the department.
What I do hope is that those finalists that we do get to engage with represent a diversity of perspective, a diversity of background, and understanding of what it means just to be.
This comes after a tumultuous year in the city, protests last summer, and police-involved shootings. Goins questions how one candidate made the shortlist. Derek Diggs is under investigation for using a city credit card in Fort Myers.
Isn't that what CPD is trying to get out of? Isn't that what the mayor is trying to change in a sense?
Porteous says what's key for him is humility and vulnerability, but also someone who listens to the community.
I'm someone who's open to listening to everyone, difference of opinion or not. I think it's important to take a moment to sit down to understand where someone's coming from so that we can, set some clear expectations together.
Both Goins and Porteous say they'll be watching Wednesday's town hall and are encouraging everyone to listen in.
Not just Black Columbus, but all of Columbus is watching, and we're going to hold you accountable.
And again, that town hall will be a virtual format, and people that have questions are asked to submit those ahead of time. We'll have a link and that email address on where you can do that on our website, NBC4i.com. Local for you in Columbus, I'm Karina Chung, NBC4.
All right, so you got to watch for the first time with me live how the story panned out. I think they played it. They did it all right. I'm fine with it. I'm pleased with it. Everything I said in the story tonight and the way we covered it here on the Unbossed Network, Trust and Believe, I said it to them the exact same way, but mainstream media, they can only use certain sound bites, and they only have a certain amount of time to cover it, whereby we spent 20 to 25 minutes on the story. They only literally had 3 minutes. Really, you saw the package was 90 seconds to cover it. So we thank Karina for asking us to speak on behalf of Black Columbus to give what we thought. And as I said to Karina, and as I will say to you right before I close, we're watching, and we are going to make sure that all of us hold you accountable, whoever the next chief may be. So how you like that? Also, all right, now I'm really getting up out of here. So as always, Black Columbus, remember to support Black-owned media, because without you, none of this is possible. The studio, you saw our studio actually has brick walls in it. None of this is possible without your support, and you are truly the only reason that we have been able to make all of this happen, from the lighting to the staff to the camera operators. Your support. So I'm asking you right now to become a member. Giving $50 a year is our ax, which translates into $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day, literally cheaper than a cup of coffee a month. Support Black-owned local media. Nobody's out here covering stories like we're covering them. We aren't just new media, but we're old media as well. We are covering stories on the ground that nobody else is covering. They just fundamentally aren't. No other news outlet was out at this big rally. No other news outlet was at Morgan Harper's event. No other news outlet this weekend was at the school board president's house, but the Unbossed Network and our team was there on the ground covering our news the way it should be told. So go to PayPal, CashApp, or Patreon. You can go to paypal.me/UnBossedFanClub, or CashApp $UnBossedFanClub, or patreon.com/UnBossedFanClub to become a member today, because every dollar you give is very important to us and goes to make this show and all of our other shows that are coming on the network possible, because we are expanding the team here in the next couple of weeks, what you will see. And we cannot do it without your support. I love y'all, but I got to go. It's 11:45. I've been here with you all for 90 minutes tonight. So, as always, Black Columbus, remember to keep it real, because your conscience depends on it. Peace. I'm out. Holla.
Thank you for watching the Unbossed Show. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, what's holding you back from smashing the subscribe button? Don't forget to hit the bell to get notified every time we post a new episode. Devontae will be back here every single weekday, breaking down the most important news stories to Black America. We'd love for you to share this episode with your friends and family. And remember, Black America, to keep it real, because your conscience depends on it.